Hi, this is Jaya. Now we shall see the summary of The Garden Party by Katherine Mansfield. The Garden Party is actually a short story by Katherine Mansfield, and in this she shows about the protagonist Laura's nature. Laura belongs to a very rich family, and the short story begins with her family preparing for a garden party. And the characters of her relatives, that is her family, is also shown. Her mother is shown as a shallow mother, and her sister is Jo's is shown as a bossy sister, and her father, Mr. Sheridan, is only business minded person, and her brother Laurie is somewhat of Laura's nature. Both Laurie and Laura are of the same nature. When the party, actually the short story, half of the short story is about how all they are preparing for the garden party, what all arrangements they are making for it, whom all they are inviting, and who are the important guests who are expected for the party. All that only comes in the first half of the story. And when the garden party is about to start that evening, Laura hears that next to their house there is a workers colony. They are living there, and a worker has died. And she feels that when there is a death in the neighborhood, it is not correct to host a party. And so she thinks that it is better they cancel the garden party. So first she goes to her sister Laura and she tells her, it won't be nice if we have a party there. Why not we cancel it and have on another day? And for this, Jo shouts at her and she says, why should you cancel a party? Because by cancelling the party, that man is not going to come back to life. And it only shows her attitude towards workers. It is not only Jo's attitude. Here, Katherine Mansfield is showing even the attitude of the higher class, where they look, how they look towards the lower class. They don't even look at them as human beings at all. That is the way we understand from Joseph's attitude. Then Laura goes to her mother and she asks her mother whether it will be correct to have a garden party when there is a death in the neighborhood, and she asks her to cancel the party. And for that, Mrs. Sheridan says it's ridiculous because they have made so many arrangements and they've called so many people, and the party is going to start in a few more hours. And so she says, no, it won't be correct. Cancelling the party will not be correct. And in order to change her mind, what she does is she gives her a beautiful black hat and she asks Laura to wear it and see it in the mirror. And the moment Laura wears the hat and she looks at her reflection in the mirror, she is so happy, and she forgets about the cancelling the party, and she decides not to ask the family to cancel the party, because what Joseph said is correct. No, anyway the death is there. Now things the mother has said that they have invited many people and all the arrangements are made, so cancelling in the last minute will not be a good idea. So the party happens and everything is going on well. Suddenly Mr. Sheridan, that is Laura's father, he mentions about an accident. And the moment Laura hears it, she is reminded of the dead worker in the neighborhood. Mrs. Sheridan, her mother, understands her feeling and she says Laura to go and deliver the leftover food to the dead man's widow. And when Laura is about to change the dress, she says, no, why you want to change the dress? Anyway, you are going to give the food and come. Second thing is, she tells her, you go and give the food to her, to the widow there, and don't look at the body, dead body. Come back straight, because we will have to take care of the guests who are staying back for some time. So Laura obeys her mother and goes in the same dress up. And when she goes there, she sees that the whole atmosphere in that neighborhood is opposite to the atmosphere in a house. A house is full of light and so much of enjoyment and all that. But here it is very dark and very oppressive, and Laura feels that being dressed like how she is, she is dressed for the party, right? And so she feels ashamed of having come in that dress there. She feels that she is not in the correct attire. In fact, she feels like dropping the food and running and coming back to her home. But the widow's sister sees her and she doesn't let her go. She takes her inside and she thinks very nice of her to come give food there, and she goes and leaves her near her sister whose husband has died. And then afterwards Laura is again taken to the body of the deceased labourer, and Laura is reminded in her mind that her mother has told her not to go and see the dead body, but in spite of that she couldn't avoid here in this situation, so she goes there. And actually when she sees the face of the man, she is really stunned, because the face is so serene and beautiful. and very calmness is there, and she feels that all this garden party and the people there are very artificial and very silly. And first thing is the difference between her lifestyle and the life of the laborers comes there, and she feels ashamed again for having come so well dressed for to a place where there is a death. And then she begs for others to forgive her for her dress, and she runs and comes back, and when she comes back she meets her brother Laurie, and they both talk about the dead laborer, and they come to the conclusion that life is darling and there is more in the world of consequences beyond the garden parties. That is, the world is full of so many things which we have to concentrate than concentrating on the garden party. We should remember that this short story was written after the First World War, so all these things we have to take into mind. And this actually, the dress which Mrs. Sheridan gives Laura shows it is like a symbol of the wealth and how the world is divided between the rich and the poor. And it also, Laura's character shows the difference between the innocence and experience. First she is very innocent, but when she sees the actuality in her real life, then she understands. And the way she knows that her family, like when there is a death nearby itself, when her family was enjoying themselves at the party, all this. And another thing is, she feels so embarrassed at being delivering the food with such a dress when people are mourning and suffering. And she sees reality for the first time in her life only when she goes to deliver that food. And in 1973 this movie was made into, this story was made into a story movie, a short film for 25 minutes. And Katherine Mansfield herself, being born in a very rich family, she was actually influenced by the writer Oscar Wilde, and she was rebellious by nature. She died at a very young age of 34 in 1923, and in 1922 only this story was published. And her other important works are In German Pension, Miss Bliss, and other stories. And please read the real version of this book because it's a beautiful short story. And when you're reading, please keep in your mind that this was written after the First World War. If you have anything to add on to this video, please write it in the comment box. Like the video, share it with your friends, and if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe. Thank you.